Hello friends, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new here. I hope everyone had a lovely weekend. So over the past week or so, I vlogged a little, very spring vibes, Easter vibes. I'm so excited that spring is here and the weather is getting nice. So I was hanging some laundry out on the line, which makes me so happy. There's nothing like line dried sheets, and Jimmy was out there, of course, to greet me. If you are unfamiliar, Jimmy is my neighbor's cat, and he is like the friendliest cat ever. He hangs out on our step more than his own, I think, probably because I give him a ton of attention. So I'm super happy the nice weather is coming so I can sit outside and drink my coffee with Jimmy again. It's one of my favorite things to do. So I was actually home alone during this week because John was out of town working. So he had the car with him, so I was going to walk down to, we have this tiny little grocery store here in our community. So I was walking down there to get some fresh produce. So I gave Jimmy a little bit of food. His owner said it was okay that we do that. So sometimes I'll give him a little bit of dry food. I did that to distract him so he wouldn't follow me down because I had to cross the street, and he always like follows me when I go for walks, and I didn't want him to, follow me across the street. So I went down there for the produce. It was such a nice walk because the weather is so nice. But I also checked the mail on my way down as well. I've mentioned this a bunch of times before, but in case you're new here, we actually bought my childhood home. So I live, where I lived when I was a kid. So it's always weird, especially walking in this building, because I, walked in here so many times as a child, but I hadn't been here for 30 years or something. But especially when I look down at this floor, it's very 70s. So I got back from my walk. I've been making a soup every other day and putting it in the freezer so that we have a bunch made. So I had got that going in the morning, and then I just went down, and this is what I got for produce. I also got some vegan cheese slices while I was down there, as well as this bread, which I was excited about. I didn't think they would have any, it's a really small store, so I didn't think they would have anything other than just basic white bread down there, but I was happy to find that. And the prices were actually really good. It was only a little over $20. Which really surprised me, because with the price of food nowadays, and because it's a smaller store, I expected it to be higher than going to a regular grocery store, but it was not bad. So it was lunchtime by the time I got back from the store, so I decided to make myself a sandwich with this bread that I got, which looks good and was really, really good. It was the only loaf they had down there though, so I don't know if I'll be able to get any more of it. But I'm making myself a toasted tomato sandwich, and I'm just having that with soup. I pretty much eat the same thing every day. So I've been eating this roasted tomato soup. I think it's kind of a viral thing. It's really, really good though. And while I was eating, I was watching Green Acres. It was so, so good. I'm obsessed with this soup. I've been eating it every day, I think, for 2 weeks straight now, and I'm still not sick of it. It's super easy to make. It's just tomatoes, onion, garlic, and coconut milk. But after I get done eating, while I finish the episode, I usually just work on plastic canvas project that whatever one I'm working on. And I'm so excited about this. I've been wanting a garden so bad for so long, so I decided to try it this year. I don't really know anything about it, but I had got a bunch of seeds, so I decided to plant seeds, and I think I'm just going to do container gardening this year. I'm sure I'll learn a lot this year, and then maybe next year we can build some raised garden beds. I'm so excited though. I also got some flower seeds, to plant flowers as well this year, which I'm also really excited. But I think maybe it might be too early for that because we're still getting frost in the mornings. But I'm super excited because the weather is getting really nice. I also got a bunch of herb seeds, so I'd love to have a little herb garden inside where I could just have fresh herbs all the time. There's my little Marley. She actually turns 18 in less than a week now, and I just can't believe it. She's so sweet though. She loves, she mostly sleeps. That's like her main activity is sleeping. Even though she's 18, she seems to be getting along just fine, still living her best life, other than she probably sleeps a little bit more than maybe she used to when she was younger, but she'll still play with toys every now and then, and I don't know. It's hard to believe that she's 18. Like, it's such a long time. So I'm not really sure if this is like the same day or not, but in the afternoon someday, I was having a cup of tea. I've recently become obsessed with this tea. I think this is the first day that I had it though. I just saw it was on clearance in the grocery store like a few weeks ago, but I didn't have it until recently, and it is so good, and it goes so well with this vanilla oat creamer. It's like the perfect match. So I think I've had a cup every single day since I first had it. So the other day when I was in the grocery store, I saw this magazine for General Hospital because it's 60 years on TV, and I used to love this show like back in the 80s and 90s, but I haven't watched it in a really long time. But when I saw the magazine, I got it. And it was fun to look at, and then I thought I would watch. So I watched a few episodes. Like I said, I haven't watched it in more than a decade, and I don't know, it's not as good. It's actually like not very good at all. So I don't know if I could get back into it, but one of the things that my mom and I used to do when I would get home from school, we would like watch soaps together for a couple hours, usually while we were knitting or something. And so it just like, I don't know, it was like a good memory, I guess. It's like very nostalgic. That's the only one that's still on the air though, of all the ones that we used to watch together. So it's weird how like popular they were like in the 80s and 90s. I feel like that was like peak time, but now I think there's only like 2 or 3 left in total compared to how many used to be. It's kind of crazy. So this is another day I'm having my soup again, but this day I'm having like a tofu egg salad sandwich with my soup. It's such a good lunch. I've recently just become obsessed with eating soup for lunch. It's so easy. So one of the things that John and I do when he's like away working is we'll watch like a show together, like, but obviously we're separate and we can just text each other while we're doing it. So we started watching the show Suits, which I know has been like around forever, but we've never watched it before. And I have to say, I really loved the first couple seasons, but now we're on like the 8th season, and like it's painful trying to get through it because I just feel like it just got not very good. But I want to just finish it. And then I would probably never watch the show again, but I did really enjoy the first couple seasons. And then I did end up finishing my plastic canvas project within the few days that I usually just do it while I'm watching TV for like an hour or so, or maybe 2 hours a day. So then I was doing some Easter prep, which I was excited about. So I was boiling some potatoes for a potato salad. I usually do that the day before, so it's the next day, and they're like nice and cold and firm-ish. So I made a potato salad, which is pretty basic, like regular potato salad recipe. I just use vegan mayonnaise instead. So I was making this for myself, but also for John. He was like coming home for an hour or so. So I was getting food ready for him to take back with him. So I was also making some coleslaw, which I don't think I filmed a final shot of. Again, very basic recipe, just use vegan mayo. And then I made some bacon out of tofu and cut that up for broccoli salad, which this is a pretty basic recipe as well, just like broccoli. I like broccoli and cauliflower in mine though, and some red onion and some of these like bacon bits that I made out of tofu. So good. And then I did put some grated cheese in there as well. I don't think I filmed a final shot of that though. But then I was making a vegan ham for John. It's made out of like a thing called wheat gluten. It's like, it gives it like a meaty texture. I don't know. I can't eat it because it hurts my stomach really bad. I think I have like I don't know if I'm like allergic to gluten or just like have a sensitivity, but whenever I eat it, it usually doesn't make me feel good. So I just tend to avoid it for the most part. But basically it makes like a dough It's sort of almost like making bread, but then I just form it into like a little ham loaf, I guess you could say. And then you just steam it and then you bake it in the oven. So I have to steam it for like an hour, just wrap it in some tin foil. So I don't have a steamer, so I just use a wok and like a pan, but it works. So anyway, this is what it looks like before I put it in the oven to like roast it. But I made like a brown sugar mustard glaze for it. And I don't know, it looks pretty realistic, I think. So by this point, it was lunch and I was feeling a little hungry. So I had some extra bacon. So I just made myself a little BLT wrap because I had this one wrap in there that I wanted to get used up, and it was so good. So then I decided this year to make homemade like Cadbury cream eggs, because obviously we can't eat them because we're vegan. But I found a recipe, so I got out my double boiler from PYREX, melted some chocolate, and I'd been looking for an egg mold to make them in, and I didn't find what I was looking for necessarily, but it's like bigger than I hoped for, but I made it work. I was hoping to find it smaller so that I could put the two halves together, but these they're way too big to put halves together. It would just make like a ridiculously big. So I just decided to make it like a half egg, I guess. So I put the chocolate in the, lined it with chocolate and put it in the freezer. Then I had to mix up the like cream filling. So I just pulled a little bit out and like dyed it yellow just for the authentic look, I guess. And then I had cut the recipe down so that it would only make a few. So then I decided to make some peanut butter, like for peanut butter eggs. So I ended up making 4 of the cream egg style and then 2 of the peanut butter ones. I had never made this before, but I just kind of wanted to this year, but they ended up turning out really good. So after those set for a while, I added the rest of the chocolate, and then I just put some peanuts too, so I would know which ones were the peanut butter ones, because I was giving half of these to John when he came over. And then I did have some extra peanut butter mix, so I just hand formed some little eggs. So these were like the artisan variety. So after these were fully set, I just popped them out. I'd never used like a silicone mold before, so I wasn't sure how easily they would come out, but they popped out so easy. And I'm so impressed by how good they looked. But as you can see, like if I would have tried to put them together, it would have just made way too big of an egg. As it was, even as like a half egg, it was almost like too much. But I couldn't wait to try it because I was just so excited. So I ended up just taking a bite out of one just to see, and it looks super realistic, I think. It's been a really long time since I actually had a Cadbury egg, like over 10 years easily, but I did love them when I was a kid. My mom, I've mentioned this before, but my mom was like the healthy mom. So, and this is like back in the early 90s. She would go to like health food stores and get like healthy chocolate and stuff, like carob chocolates. I thought it was really weird when I was a kid, but now I'm kind of actually grateful for it. So I just showed you a shot of the ham being totally done there. So John was coming on this day, so I wanted to make him something to eat. And I was going to say luckily, but my HelloFresh order had come that day, which I didn't plan on getting a HelloFresh order. I just had forgot to tell them I didn't want one, but it ended up working out because then John was coming on that particular day. So I made him this veggie curry sandwich that isn't something that would interest me, but it's like right up John's alley. So I thought, oh, this would be the perfect thing to make. So I just made him one, and then I just gave him the ingredients to make the other one when he went back with them, and he did really like it. It's the first time we got this particular meal with HelloFresh, but I really don't get HelloFresh very often, but it is nice sometimes and super convenient. But I just forgot to tell them that I didn't want the box, and then it just came and I was like, oh shit. So when John came up to like pick up some stuff, he brought this Dallas box set. So it's the entire series of Dallas and the movies. Someone was selling this online for $50, and I saw it on the marketplace, and I thought, It's weird because I had just been thinking about like, oh, I should watch Dallas sometime, because I was a little bit too young to watch Dallas when it was like on TV. I've definitely have seen some episodes, and I do know some about the show because it was so popular. But when I saw that for $50, I thought, oh, that would be cool. Apparently they just like didn't realize that the top lifted off, so they cut it open, but I'm just gonna tape that up. But it's a really good deal. I know this particular set, I think it was from 2013. It sells on eBay for over $100, so I'll probably just watch it. He also brought me this bag of chips too. It's like a limited time flavor, I think, fries and gravy. We had it, we took a road trip to see my grandma a couple of weeks ago, and we had them when we stopped in a gas station. They were super good, so he brought me a bag of those as well. But he also brought this greenhouse for like our deck. I'm so excited. I was planning on building it in this video, but I didn't get around to it. But I think I'm gonna get it set up this weekend, and we're gonna go buy a bunch of like containers for the garden. I'm sure I'll probably share about that at some point. So for myself, because I couldn't eat like the gluten ham, I just made ham out of tofu, which is basically like the exact same thing. It's just made from tofu, but I put the pineapple on it, and it turned out super good. So I don't think I'd ever done this before with tofu, but I had made that other ham that I made before. But so that's what I had for my dinner that day, was some of the ham and then just some of the salads that I had made. Oh, it was so good. It reminds me so much of summer, like making cold salads. It's so convenient too when you're, it's hot outside and you don't want to cook. You just already have salad made in the fridge. So I decided to have one of the eggs on this day as well. And then I was trying to show you how beautiful like the sunsets are here. This is like from my bedroom window, but it never comes up as good on film as it is in real life, which is unfortunate. So then this is, I believe, Saturday morning. I decided to make myself some brunch, which was so good. So we've just got some bacon, sausage, egg, and some hash browns. I'm having some coffee and some orange juice. And I decided while I was eating my brunch to watch It's the Easter Beagle, Charlie Brown. I love Peanuts so much. So I just watched that and hung out with Marley. And then I did a load of towels. I decided to hang them out on the line. I've been so excited. Although it looked a little bit nicer than it actually was. The temperature was way lower than I thought it was. The tips of my fingers were actually freezing by the time I got everything hung out, but it was clear blue skies, so I knew that they would dry just fine, even though it was a little cooler. Of course, I'm back to having my tea. So good. And then I thought I would show you guys how much things have sprouted, and it's actually funny because I filmed this on Saturday, I think, and it's only Monday now, and I can't believe how much more things have grown just since I filmed this on Saturday morning. So maybe I'll show you guys like the outside when everything's all done out there at some point. But I'm super excited to see all this growing. Which brings us to Easter Sunday. So this is the morning. I usually brew the coffee at 5 a.m. So I usually get up at 4:30, between 4:30 and 5. So lately, since John has been out of town, I usually just go down and make a cup of coffee, and then I come back and sit in bed and drink it with Marley, because she just loves cuddling, and she doesn't even want to eat food in the morning. She just wants to like be there and cuddle. She's actually sitting next to me on the bed right now while I'm filming this. So I knew that I wanted to watch Easter Parade. So after I got done my first cup of coffee, I went down to get that from the little basement video store we've got going on here. I love this movie so much. I watch it every Easter. It makes me so happy. It's one of my favorite like classic films. I never get sick of it. It's just, I just watched it yesterday, and even thinking about it right now, I think I could watch it again. I usually do just reserve it for Easter. It keeps it more special, I guess, but love it. So I came up and got that ready to watch. And I have made it through the first disc of Green Acres, which I had never seen the very early episodes before, so it's been cool just going through them in order. And so this morning as well, I was making brunch again. It's like my favorite thing to do on the weekends. It's just so nice. And it's been a long time since I had it prior to the previous day. I thrifted this bunny mug a few years ago, but I just love it so much. And then I just watched this movie while I was eating. Oh, it's so good. I know I've already said it like a bunch of times, but it really is just so good. And Fred Astaire wasn't even supposed to be in this movie. It was supposed to be Gene Kelly, but he suffered like an accident or something, and he asked Fred if he would do the movie for him. And it's so funny to me because I'm sure Gene Kelly would have been great, but I just can't picture anyone else in that role besides Fred. So while I was watching the movie, Marley randomly decided to jump on top of the TV, which she hasn't done the whole time since I decorate it. But it's so funny. She's just such a gentle cat that she's up there with all these, breakable vases and stuff, and sniffing the flowers and whatever, and she doesn't move a single thing. Now, if this had been our other cat who passed away, like everything would have been on the ground. So for my Easter dinner, I decided to make this little tiny like miniature casserole of scalloped potatoes. I had some cheese in there I had to use up, and some chives, and some Brussels sprouts, which is one of my favorite vegetables. So I just like to roast them in the oven with some garlic powder and onion powder. So then I went downstairs to our little video store to look for a movie to watch that night because John was going to the theater with one of our friends. So like normally if he was like where he was staying, we would probably just watch some Suits or something in the evening. But since he wasn't going to be home, I thought, well, maybe I should watch a movie. So I was thinking about watching like just a classic movie. I was kind of in the mood after watching Easter Parade, kind of in the mood to either watch a comfort movie or a movie I'd never seen before. The Long Long Trailer is one of my comfort movies. I did watch it not that long ago, but it's really good. And then I also love Yours, Mine, and Ours, so I was considering watching that as well. Another Lucille Ball movie. I think that they might have remade this movie in like the 90s maybe, but I've never seen that version. But I do love that movie. The movie I was really wanting to watch was Summer Stock, but I don't have that one, unfortunately. But I was considering watching this other Judy Garland, Gene Kelly movie. But honestly, it took forever for me to find a movie. Like, I was looking down there for probably at least 20-25 minutes. So I thought I might want to watch a classic movie, but then I thought maybe I might want to watch a comedy that I've never seen before, or I don't know. So I did see this movie, Big Business, which I've never seen before, but it looks really good. I love Bette Midler and Lily. So then I had decided on two. A Letter to Three Wives is a newer find to me. I think I only saw it for the first time a few years ago, but I love it. And then I also saw 9 to 5. I've seen this movie before, but it's been a really long time, so I couldn't decide between the two of them, so I just brought them both upstairs. So then pretty much my dinner was almost ready by the time I got done finding a movie. So this looked so good. It was all bubbly when I took it out. And so I'm just frying up some of the tofu ham that I had made previously. So just having that with the rest of the leftover coleslaw. This was such a good Easter dinner. It's been a really long time since I had scalloped potatoes, so that was a good choice. And then for an Easter dessert, I decided to have a slice of this carrot cake. So I just bought this from one of our grocery stores. It's their brand. It's plant-based carrot cake. I love this one because it has pineapple and coconut in it, which are two of my favorite ingredients in carrot cake. So I just had a slice of that with another one of those teas. I'm literally obsessed. But it's so good, for something that's store-bought. Typically I'd just prefer to make things from scratch, but it was really good. And then I did end up deciding to watch 9 to 5, and I'm glad I did because I realized just how long it had been, because I was trying to think of the last time I seen it, and I think it was actually in the 90s. So I mean, it's been well over 20 years. So and it was still really funny to me too, so glad I watched it. And I just watched that in bed hanging out with Marley before I went to sleep. So one of the things I've been doing during this week when John's been gone is doing a lot of like spring cleaning and organizing, and I've been doing some like room makeovers as well, which some of it I'm filming, some of it I'm not, but one of the smaller projects I did was make over this linen closet. So as you can see, it was not the tidiest, which was driving me a little bit crazy, but a few months ago I had picked up this roll of wallpaper that I thought would be nice in here. So months ago I had painted this pink. You can see the wallpaper up there. So I thought the wallpaper would match with the pink anyway, so I took everything out of the closet and put it on the table to kind of sort through it, go through it, which I ended up finding things in there that I had forgot about, like this solid shampoo and conditioner bars, which they're like, for some reason, I've tried so many different brands, but solid shampoo just does not work in my hair. Or at least I haven't found the brand that works, but I think I'm going to repurpose those as like shaving lotion. And I found these in there as well. So while I was going through all of that, I went through the medicine cabinet as well. And because I knew that I could probably fit more in there. So that got nice and tidied up, and I was able to fit more things in there that were in the linen closet. I'm just more likely to use things if they're like in the bathroom versus the linen closet. But here is the wallpaper. I thought it was really pretty. It reminds me kind of like late 80s, early 90s vibes, but once I got it up against the pink, I thought it would look nice. So I got started with cutting it and everything. I decided to just try to wet the back with a sponge to see if the glue was still like active. It ended up not being though, so I'm not sure how old the wallpaper is, but so I just used some glue that I had. For that first piece, I used this spray glue, which was a bad idea because it's like an aerosol. So I just went back to this, I guess it's called Sure Stick. I bought this when I wallpapered the kitchen with that 60s wallpaper because I knew the glue would not be still good on that. It looks just like, it reminds me of like Elmer's glue, like the white glue is what it looks like. But apparently it's like really permanent from what I understand. And I know that I used it in the kitchen with that 60s wallpaper and that has not budged at all. But from what I understand, if you tried to rip it off the wall, it like would not come off. So, but that's fine. So I just went ahead and used that. And then I have this kit that I bought for doing wallpaper with a little, I want to say scraper, but you're not really scraping it. You're just flattening it out so that it's nice and secure. Once I got a few pieces up though, and I stepped back to look at it, I thought, oh, this looks really nice. And it looks nice with the pink because I can't really wallpaper over like those certain parts. I don't know, it's weird how like just the smallest little thing can make this big difference. But once I had all of it done, like the back part, and then I thought, well, maybe I should do the sides. I wasn't planning on doing the sides, but then I thought, well, if you're ever going to do it, you may as well do it now, like versus thinking about it later. So I did decide to go ahead and do the side parts as well, which I didn't film when it was empty. But now that all the side and the back is done, and then I put everything back in, just kind of reorganized, and I had gotten rid of quite a few things as well. But it just makes me so happy when I open it now, because for months it was just kind of cluttered up, but now it's all nice and organized, and the wallpaper just makes it a little bit fun. I've lived in lots of old houses in my life, and that's like super common, at least in the houses I've lived in, for like the closets and stuff to be wallpapered. So I just thought it was fun, and I think the wallpaper only cost me $1.75 if I'm remembering correctly. But anyway, that is it for this video, spring Easter vibe week in my life. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again soon.